Hey everybody, I'm Kim Cafano, the middle school mommer. Welcome to my channel, and if you're new here, I hope that you hit subscribe and ring the bell for future notifications. I'm here to get you equipped to parent your child well during this season, as well as connect with them, genuinely connect with them, and I can't think of a better way than the topic I'm going to be speaking on today, which is 3 tips to get your middle schooler to open up. So 3 practices that you can put in place this week that I can pretty much guarantee will get them to talk a little more to you. Before I begin, I must share 2 quick things. One, we of course must honor their personalities. So there will be some middle schoolers that are just a little quieter. There are some adults that are a little quieter, right? And so to an extent, that's just going to be the case. But they can't never talk to you. Like, you do need to know what's going on in their world. So please don't just dismiss it as, oh, that's just their personality, or, oh, they're just in middle school. We do need to still be in touch and know what's going on in their lives and hearts. And then secondly, I also just want to mention the kind of the obvious. If your child is super quiet for a really, really long time and you really, really cannot get them to open up, there might be something going on, something serious, and that might require some outside help. So I just want to name those couple disclaimers. Meanwhile, let's dive right into what I have to say about some practices that we have put into place in the Cafano household. So the first one is scheduling a regular outing with your middle schooler, and or just a regular time, I should say. It doesn't even necessarily have to be an outing, but what this does is it teaches them that there is going to be a time every single week that I know that I'm going to get mom's full attention or dad's full attention. And the way we started to put this into place in our home, it was initiated by my husband, and he would take our son, and still does, right after church. He would whisk him away, and they would have an hour at a coffee shop. My husband would get coffee, and my son would get some sort of a pastry, and they would talk about things. And they would talk about, it was a little bit of like what Mark wanted to share with Dylan, and just a time to kind of shepherd and guide him, but also a time for Dylan to ask his questions. And by the way, I've gotten Dylan's permission to share this. So with in regard to Dylan, the first couple weeks he was quiet. There wasn't much to share that was meaningful. I kept kind of saying, so what's going on with Dylan? And I would ask Mark, and he's like, yeah, not much. Well, it came to be that Dylan would start to realize, every single Sunday this is going to happen. And so it's almost like he would store up these questions for Dad, and they would talk it through. And so once they got into a good rhythm, we really started to learn what was going on in his heart, some of the questions that he had, some of the friend issues, or all sorts of things. And so there's something to just kind of that prediction of that time. Now, if you're saying, we are a busy family, I cannot imagine spending an hour each week, I kind of want to respond by saying what family isn't. I get it. So I'm going to throw in, first of all, that I wrote a whole article with some little tips on how to handle that. I'll just share 2 quick thoughts right now. If you truly cannot swing an hour every week, I really understand. And so then you have to get a little creative. So instead, maybe it will be when you're at another sibling's ball game, you pull your child away during maybe a quiet inning or whatever, or when your child's not on the soccer field, and just go for a 10-minute walk, just the 2 of you, right? You make time to talk to your friends at all the soccer games. So what about hanging out with your middle schooler? And if they can kind of know that every single week they're going to get a little bit of time with you, even if it's not going for ice cream or whatever, they will still love it. And then another thing that we put into place is, on my busiest days, I invite Dylan to the kitchen counter while I'm prepping dinner. And I kind of shoo the other children away. They have come to kind of learn, like, this is an act of love. I want to be with Dylan. And so they've kind of come to respect that. I make a special little appetizer plate for Dylan, and it's while I'm making dinner that I just, ask a few key questions and see what's on his mind. And sometimes not much, and sometimes I learn a lot of stuff that I sure would not have learned had I not just taken that 10 to 15 minutes with him while I cut up the onions. That's not a very good example because we actually don't have a lot of onions in our house, but isn't that the example that always comes to you when you think about food prep in the kitchen? Moving on, point number 2, be aware of when they are talking. Like, what kind of a talker do you have? Do you have an evening talker? Do you have an after school talker? Do you have a talker who will maybe open up a little more as you're doing an activity? So some kids want to unload right after school, and so if that's one of your children, then get ready, plan your day around it. Some of our kids, all three of mine, they do not want to talk after school. The last thing they want to do is rehash their day, especially our middle schooler. I mean, they just went through a day of middle school. That's tough. That's some tough stuff. So honor that and don't push them. Like, don't just keep pushing and what's wrong? Why are you so quiet? I can tell something happened. That's one of the last things that we should be doing. So figure out what it is or when it is that your child will talk. And if they're an evening talker, then just get ready. Get ready for some longer tuck-ins, for lack of a better word. And again, maybe they're an activity talker. Maybe, especially with boys, I find, they're more like as you're playing catch, they are going to open up, or with girls, maybe as you do an adult paint by number or whatever, she'll start to share. So just figure out what kind of a talker you have. And then third, this is kind of stating the obvious, but I think some of us need this wake-up call. We will never get them to open up if we're not being intentional about trying to establish a relationship with them. So if our entire lives are that we're working full-time, they're going right from school to an activity, and then every free moment they're on a device, like, they're not going to open up. We need to find ways, and by the way, that's what my whole brand is about, is finding meaningful ways to connect with your child. But we need to let them know that we care about them and we're after their heart. And so, just requesting nicely, hey, do you mind putting the device down while we drive? Like, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Or, I don't know, just in general, creating fun opportunities and options for them over the weekend, so that everything isn't just about going to the next thing, but doing something to build that relationship so that they will want to open up with you. Because I guarantee they are talking. They're talking to somebody. They're talking to either their friends or somebody, I don't know, some other adult in their life. Maybe there's another mom. Part of that's fine, but you need to be one of the people that they're sharing their heart with, that's for sure. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can to be that trustworthy place and person in their life that they will want to open up to. So I will end by just sharing something not to do, which is questions not to ask. One of my mentors is Cheryl Gold. She is the founder of Moms of Tweens and Teens, and she posted something the other day, 10 things we should stop saying to our teens. And some of this was convicting, and a lot of it I want to dive more into. I'm definitely guilty of some of these, so I'm going to name them. 10 things we should stop saying. Number 1, how was your day? Number 2, what were you thinking? Number 3, don't be sad, don't be angry. Number 4, it's not that bad. Number 5, let me help you. Number 6, why can't you be more like? Number 7, are you okay? You sure? You're okay? Really? Number 8, my thighs look fat. Number 9, why did you get a C? Number 10, you're grounded for a month. So I just thought some of those were a little convicting, and I wanted to share that. Half of it is what not to say that will just pretty much guarantee that they're going to shut down. In the meantime, I am producing some things to say, some really good conversation starters for middle schoolers. You can look for that on my website. I hope that you continue to follow me. Again, this is just one tiny piece of the puzzle of really establishing that genuine, authentic relationship with your middle schooler, and these 3 practices that we've put into place in the Cafano household, you can start to put into place this very day, this very week, and give them a little time. But once they start to predict these moments that they're going to get with you, I can just guarantee they will begin to open up a little more. All right, well, thanks for joining me today.